Hello, we're live. And right at the opening, Lindsay's decided to come up and ask for some attention. Yes, she has. She's going to go hang out with us tonight. I should get the chat happening because I don't have the chat happening yet. Yes, you sit up there all regal like Mimsy. Set the mood for the evening. Get a bit stylish. Yes? I'm trying to get the setting right. There we go. Sure, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Beverage. Oh, okay. Everyone's here. Let's who's been here? Mr. Gonzo from Georgia. Hope things are well in Georgia. And hey, Luke, been hanging about. And Brett, and Agro Pixie, and Catherine, Mystery 09, Miss Fox Vacation. Hello, everyone. Just got to pop out the chat to make it a bit easier for moi. And just set that little window over there and over there. Everything's been a little bit slow on my laptop, but that's okay. Hello. This one really wants attention. Hello, musical aviator. So Miss Foxification, I think when she gets tired, she curls up if she wants to. If she really wants to go to sleep on there, she curls up quite happily. Yes, the head bobs might be sleepiness, might be her advancing age. Sometimes she goes right up the top on the big square bit if she wants to sleep. But yeah, no, if she really wants to sleep on there, she just curls up in there. Yes, all right. This probably enough attention for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, look, see, even as I said it, she's decided she wants to settle down, and so she's gone and curled up. But yes, she does whatever she wants. She has her mood is to do whatever she wants, and maybe we should all be more like Mimsy. Just do whatever we want. Don't be like Mimsy. She's actually really annoying. Wanders around making this really demanding noise when she wants something. It's a very unappealing noise too, quite frankly. It's a croaky. It's somewhere between a cat's meow and a parrot's squawk. It's not a great noise, quite honestly. Luke, the storms, yes. Most of Victoria got storms. We did get them here in Melbourne late. I don't think they were as severe in Melbourne as they were in some places. But yeah, we certainly got a bunch of storms and rain. And then, thankfully, it cleared up before I had to go to work. So it started after I got home from work, and it got over itself during the night, and all was good. Hey, Charlie, how's it going? So yeah, all was well in the world. Fabulous stuff. I just feel like topping up my Pepsi. More Pepsi in here. Big old blocks of ice in there. Here we go. I want to talk about a fun thing. And when I say fun, I'm being sarcastic. It's not fun. But it's a concept known as imposter syndrome. And if you've never heard of it, it's when you feel like you're an imposter, like you're a fake. No matter like with your work, with your relationships, with your life generally. If things going well, you feel like maybe you don't deserve it. Like no matter how hard you work for something, no matter like how hard you work at your job or school or uni, and you get commensurate rewards for that, you don't feel like you deserve it. And for some people, it's actually a part of anxiety. It can be quite crippling anxiety. Um, I don't really have it that bad, but I do on the regular feel like gonna be found out for being an imposter. Um, uh, like when things are going well at work, like when I'm ahead of schedule, producing good quality things. I just think, oh, maybe I haven't done enough. Maybe they're about to come and say that nothing I've done is any good, and that's it, you're fired. And then the boss comes along and says, oh, great work on that, excellent. Oh, good. Yeah, or the boss says, oh, I want to revise that last thing, and what you hear is, oh my god, that was fucking terrible. You suck. And then you go and say, oh, what is it you wanted to fix? And it's like one or two tiny things. That was really good. If we just tweak that and that, it's perfect. And you go, oh, okay, good. Or you sit there going like, oh God, I'm not doing that enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not working enough. Jeez. And the boss comes up and goes, oh wow, I feel like I've loaded too much work on you and you got it all done, but I don't want to burn you out. Like, are you okay? So I see a few people empathize. Yes, Mr. Gonzo, talking about imposter syndrome, dysphorication, you know it. Mike, yes, yeah, it's weird how we do that to ourselves. One of my favorite representations of it was a very old Far Side comic. Young people might not even know what the Far Side is, but it was a very popular single frame newspaper comic, just a silly, absurdist comic, and as very funny a lot of the time. And they had one with all these bums in an alley, and in amongst them is this giant cockroach. And the cockroach is talking and goes, I had it all, a high-powered job, happy marriage, millions of dollars in the bank. And then one day, someone pointed and went, hey, he's just a big cockroach. And that's what it feels like. You can be doing everything right, and the success that comes to you is totally deserved, but you feel like it isn't, and people are going to point at you one day and go, he's just a big cockroach in a suit. It's such a weird feeling. And hello, Megaleech. Nice to see you. Yes, Mr. Gonzo, you raise a good point. Western capitalism encourages us to work ourselves into an early grave, and there's no reward for that. That's why I say, like, people who just work long hours, who are literally working themselves to death, and I feel like saying to them, fucking ease off. Like, if you actually died, they'd replace you in a heartbeat. Okay, it is not worth killing yourself for a job because they won't appreciate it. um so Luke is Clive Palmer, cockroach in a suit. No, Clive Palmer's a dugong in a suit. He's just a big amorphous mass in a suit. It's an insult to cockroaches to compare them to Clive Palmer. Oh wow, Miss Fox, because you say you're a woman working in STEM, it's almost the opposite. You have jobs beyond your pay grade, often deserve better than I. Well, I have a suspicion that you earn everything you have, quite honestly. Mr. Gonzo, mind you, look, so many of us, and that's why I brought it up, because I was having a little bout of it at work, and I got shown like basically like 3 times in a row that my imposter syndrome was bullshit. Um, and I know everyone feels that. It is such a weird thing. You're just waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under you. Like, sure, for the last 5 years, they've been very happy with me and applauded my work and said how happy they are with me. But tomorrow's the day tomorrow's the day they'll discover I'm a fraud after all these years. But yes, Big Boy, hello to you. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm just checking something on the. Yeah, that's really interesting. The because this is a Google Hangout, and it normally tells me how many viewers are on the page, and it isn't doing that now, and I don't know why. That is interesting. That's never actually happened before. Say, Levy, it's not the biggest dealio in the world, but yes. Okay, okay. Yeah, you're an academic. Yeah, imposter syndrome. I think we all suffer from it. No, Mike, we all do it. It's like even when people say you do good, you're like, really, really, is that some sort of backhanded insult? Justin, you work in government, got a temporary promotion, feel like less work. The thing is, dude, just stop writing numbers. I know what you're doing, but I'm not that worried about it. Uh, yeah, the fact you feel like you have less work probably means you're very good at it. Oh no, Grey Pixie, you made a wrestling costume and you feel like you're being overpaid for it. Yeah, you probably that's just a recognition of the quality of your work, and they probably feel like they're underpaying you. I see what you're saying, Miss Classification. In your world, you're expected to do tasks and jobs beyond your classification. Yeah, but working in science in Australia is, wow, it's fucking harsh. Like the government has been disrespecting science for so long in this country. It's really bad. Gonzo, you want a Ric Flair robe? See, Arrow Pixie, that's what he said. He said he feels like he should be paying you more. And yeah, it's classic, completely, and it happens to everyone. It's not limited to one thing. Like creative people feel it all the time. But I work in IT, and I know I'm good at what I do, and I'm an analyst, and I know uh, my ability to actually do analytical things, to look at projects and work out the complexity and what's involved and what we'll have to do. I know that's really hard, bordering on impossible for a lot of people, and I find it relatively easy. That's also a thing that contributes to imposter syndrome. If you find what you're doing comparatively easy, uh, that makes it more likely you'll have imposter syndrome. Like, in other words, if you're really good at your job, that can often make you more likely to think you're not, because you're finding it too easy. You go, oh no, this is all too easy. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. This is it. MS Voxication, exactly that. The CSIRO does amazing work, and it's just had its funding cut and been undermined. It's terrible. I mean, he's great. If your team leader thinks you're great, his boss calls you an incompetent, lazy cunt and does it secret. That boss is an extremely bad person. Uh, that's an incredible, not just a bad boss, that's a bad person right there. And there's something about you, they find that they find it threatening. There's something about you they find threatening, and that's why they're undermining you. They're just an awful person. It's okay, there are thumbs down already. Look, that's just trolls. There's no point in being worried about trolls. That's their part and parcel of what they do. They try and worry you and make you feel bad. And it's just like, yeah, you guys want to obsess about me? That's fine. That's right. And thank you, by the way, Mr. Gonzo, for the words of encouragement. Oh yeah, misfoxication. I've had terrible experiences in workplaces with people who didn't like me, who had it in for me, people in management who had it in for me. And that's really shit when that happens, which is also why you've got to be prepared to leave jobs. And that's something that a lot of people aren't prepared to do. People are really freaked out about leaving jobs. Man, you've got to be prepared to tell people to go fuck themselves. Brett, you get imposter syndrome. Oh, see, what's your boss? Your boss is trying to mess with you. I think your boss comes in as being friendly, then overly unfairly critical, then back to, how you going, mate? I think the boss is deliberately trying to unsettle you. Again, sign of a weak person, honestly. I'm just going to, you think Mimsy is fairly content there. You think she looks fat now? She actually lost a lot of weight. I think we were feeding her too much. We changed her food, and she lost a lot of weight since then. Coco, you had a deputy CEO call you a bitch over email. Well, that person's a fucking idiot, because putting it in writing, putting it in an email, that's actionable. That's the sort of thing that they lose their job over. Mr. Gonzo, look, I get what you're saying about the sense of a younger generation being entitled, but to that I'd throw in, don't believe the hype. That's like the boomers who control the media and politics and the social discourse. There's it's and that's the thing that's been said about every generation ever. It's and that's cool, dude. I know you weren't being particularly malicious, and yeah, you're acknowledging it's probably oversimplified, but look, and it's certainly easy to see examples of horrible behavior. There's no question there are people in every generation who do shitty things and behave in shitty ways. Um, but it's like the ridiculous thing you get from boomers and older generation X saying later generations, Y and Z, for want of better descriptions, they get participation trophies and they need safe spaces and blah, 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 blah. And it's like acting, particularly when it's kids, saying, oh, kids have something and that's the fault of those kids. That means kids are shit. And kids don't have any control over the environment. The environment they are in was created by generations prior to them. And the generations who create the environment then do this weird thing of blaming the younger generations for shit they have no control over. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh God, Justin, you just imagine working in a place like Woolworths, your supervisor was a hardcore member of the Liberal Party wanting to have a go at you. I mean, I remember being a contractor, I work in lots of different environments, and that includes the banks. I've worked for several of the banks, and I remember this is probably when the Howard government was still in, and all these people being down on anyone who was complaining about the budget handed down by Howard, because anyone with progressive views was critical of what funding was cut and tax cuts and all this. And these guys were just going on at length about how awesome the budget was. And I'm just sitting there going, don't say anything, don't say anything. It's actually super inappropriate. They're having really loud, really partisan political tirades at work. You shouldn't create conflict in the workplace. I never talk about my politics in the workplace. But I just went, no, just sit there, just don't say anything, just be quiet. That's who they are. Gonzo, you're shocked Ric Flair's still alive. You think he must be more booze and cocaine than man at that point. See, I don't pry into Ric Flair's personal life. I don't want to be. The good spirit. How have I been? Don't let people bring them down low. Well, that is a mighty fine. You are a good spirit, aren't you? That's a very positive thing. It's like the old joke about, you know, arguing with a troll on the internet is like wrestling with a pig in mud. The pig's going to beat you with experience, plus they enjoy it. And hello, Safa. She's headbutting me. Mimsy wants more attention. Oh yeah, misfoxification. Anyone see this thing? Even when you see stuff on the internet with kids, teenagers being obnoxious, and they're doing stuff that appears to be really awful or is really awful, whether it's bigoted, whether it's racist or misogynist or whatever, and people seem to want to put them to death. My cat's mugging for the camera. She's bloody headbutting me, so I'll scratch her. She's so demanding. You just want all the attention, don't you? Because kids are idiots. And I say that remembering myself as a kid going, oh, yeah. That's why I was joking with the blackface thing. Posted on social media today to see who thought it was a joke and who might have heard the story before. But I posted like, well, I ought to get out in front of this before I start a career in politics. For my last day of school, the muck-up day assembly, I dressed up as Hitler. And I was waiting to see how people react to it because that's what actually happened. That is real. And people say, well, why'd you do that? I go, because I was a fucking idiot. And it's like, there's no defense for that. It's like, as a teenager, you think it's wild and edgy to do stuff that's out there and dangerous. And I was quite ignorant of politics. And yeah, that was that. Good spirit. Weather here is quite different to yours. Much of Australia has been experiencing a heat wave. In fact, I believe January was the hottest month on record for Australia. Lots of places have been getting heat waves, temperatures well over 40 degrees Celsius for many days, if not a week or more in a row. So we're having a very different thing. And hello, Aussie Gun Bunny. How you doing, buddy? What's up, Mr. Gonzo? Feel like fraud. Oh, well, I'm glad anything I've ever said has made you feel more comfortable with who you are. Look, dude, that is, see, one positive comment like that is worth a million trolls. You want to Photoshop me in blackface? That would be pretty easy to do. Yeah. TFL. Don't argue with Nazis and fascists, seem to give them power. Well, here's the thing, TFL. I won't get in online arguments in comments because it's a waste of time, because they argue in bad faith and they don't actually want a meaningful discourse. They're just trying to derail conversations and fuck your life up. And hello, Toronto Maple Leaf, the insomnia in Canada is still happening. Okay. A funny story in the My Friend Dharma graphic novel. It's the author being dressed up as Hitler at school and having a conversation with Dharma. Yes, yes, that would be weird. And looking back on that lady, you're right. Seeing the significance of that would be super weird. Oh, well, thanks, Mr. Gunn. I don't really doubt myself at all, but it comes out in work sometimes. Ah, good spirit. I'm going to go to the electric car. Look, the bright and shining, glorious future is not just the electric cars, like the rechargeable, but the self-driving ones. Could you imagine the degree of change self-driving cars will make? The death toll, like thousands of people who otherwise would have been killed in car accidents won't be killed. They will still be alive. Every year around the world, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people are killed in auto accidents. As we get the proliferation of self-driving cars, that will stop happening. So there'll be a whole bunch more people alive who will otherwise be dead. And also, when you think about how frustrating traffic is, if there's self-driving cars that communicate with each other, the traffic would just flow smoothly. And of course, then, you know, you get buses, not just one person, one vehicle, and like cities, so much of city real estate is tied up in parking, whether it's on-street parking or parking stations, parking garages. And you won't need that, because if you're getting self-driving cars on call, like, you don't have to own a self-driving car. You know, you have an app that calls you, and the cars are just sort of zipping about or sitting on a charge station while they go, and they appear when you want them. Cities would be so much better. There's a whole bunch of things that have to be worked out, but the potential for self-driving cars to have just a huge seismic shift in the positive on society, it's just amazing. Because you think of the term of rose among thorns when I think about you, I think you mean ADSI. TFL, you're right, they need to work out the faults with cars or potential faults with cars. But people who agonise over, oh, what if they have a fault or do that or bloody 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 blah. It's like, man, humans just kill so many people. Even faulty cars would kill less people. Safari, the self-driving cars would be electric. Safa, with self-driving cars in the bush, we need two things: the entire roof of the car to be a solar panel, and cutting-edge batteries in the car, and then you'd be set. But see, Toronto Maple Leaf in Canada, you're right, with anywhere that has huge amounts of snow, but you'd have self-driving snowplow trucks that are just 24 hours a day cleaning roads. Gonzo, I try to do Totally Fucked Up Friday. I get really lazy, and I didn't even do a Wank Fat Wednesday yesterday. So I will definitely put significant effort into doing Totally Fucked Up Friday. I mean, we talk about Trump's State of the Union, maybe, and that super sarcastic clap Nancy Pelosi did to him, like, when you're a good boy, you're a good boy, aren't you? Just like, and because Trump's so shallow and he really cares about shallow things, the fact that the whole world's laughing at that image of Pelosi going to him, who aren't you a good boy? It's going to burn him up, which is fucking hilarious. Good spirit. I agree. Teslas are pretty cool cars, actually. But yeah, that's progressively the cars are going to get better, even more efficient, and cheaper. But yeah, I reckon the whole fleets of autonomous vehicles, so no one has to own a vehicle. You just call up a vehicle whenever you want it, and yeah, it's like if the whole roof of the cars was a solar cell. It's amazing. So I reckon the future, and everyone goes about, oh, how will the car decide whether to hit a pedestrian or swerve and kill the driver? Like, It's not even going to be a thing. When they improve the artificial intelligence in the cars, that literally won't even come up. I think a much bigger issue, and I've said this before, is pedestrians. When pedestrians realise the cars have to stop for them, pedestrians will just jaywalk everywhere and block all the traffic. And see, Safa, you're worried about mechanics' jobs, and that's a good thing. But here's a bit of trivia. The most common job, majority of US states, is truck driver. And the first vehicles to replace the drivers with autonomous vehicles will be delivery trucks. And there's a whole knock-on effect of that. It's not just the truck drivers who will lose their jobs or be forced into a lower paying job where they're like the caretaker for the autonomous vehicle. There's all the support things, the truck stops, the food places, the hotels, all these things will go by the wayside. Wholesale replacement of delivery trucks with autonomous trucks would have an impact on millions of jobs in the US. Jeff Kittleson, who's a cat without a lady? Not everything in the world has to be in the same place at the same time, you weirdo. Oh yes, Good Spirit the Leaf. I've seen some of that. It's okay. For people who are worried about what could go wrong with autonomous vehicles, there's a writer I quite like. His name's Cory Doctorow. He's a main contributor to a very long-running blog called Boing Boing, but he's also a very good writer of speculative fiction. He imagines, when looking around the world today, what might happen in the future. Hey, Tendai, yes, Mimsy's like with us for the whole stream so far. But yes, if you want, it's a short story and it's really interesting and well thought out and thought provoking. And just do a search on Cory Doctorow, Car Wars. He was commissioned to write a short story on what could go wrong with autonomous vehicles. And the things he explores are people hacking their own vehicles to get control of things the manufacturer doesn't want them to have control over, or the government doesn't want them to have control over. Bad actors, as in whether they're pranksters or hackers, who, whether it's to cause social unrest or for a laugh, exploit some of the default behavior in vehicles to cause problems. And another big one is a repressive regime, a government that's a repressive regime that's demanded a backdoor to control vehicles. So when there's civil unrest, like, you know, say like the Middle East, there's a spring uprising in a country, the rather despotic government can take control of all the cars in the country and just program them to run people down. And the other one is straight up terrorists who work out how to hack the control systems on cars and take control of them to use them as attack vectors. So yeah, if you want a fun and disturbing read, do a search on Cory Doctorow, Car Wars. He really thinks up some interesting things that could go wrong with autonomous vehicles. And it's not the usual shit people say when they talk about autonomous vehicles anyway. Absolutely, Luke. You could definitely do more trouble with cars and with buses and trucks. Toronto Maple Leaf, Toronto Maple Leaf saying Goodyear made spherical maglev tires. Wheels aren't even attached to the car. I did actually hear of that. I don't know the details, but I did hear of that. Jeff, I did hear that in some places people did get very negative towards self-driving cars and tried to sabotage, as you say, throw rocks, slash tires and whatnot. Brett, you're right about even cars now getting hacked and controlled because of the computers in them, even when they're not autonomous. One of the fun things, modern luxury cars are almost impossible to hotwire. And I'll just interrupt myself to say hello, Timothy. Hi, how are you going? So modern autonomous cars, modern luxury cars in particular, but most modern cars are almost impossible to hotwire. So you can't steal cars. No, what that's resulted in is an increase in carjackings and an increase in what we call aggravated burglaries or home invasion, means breaking into people's homes while they're home because they want the people to be home because they want the remote for the luxury car that's parked in the driveway. And of course, a home invasion or aggravated burglary is a terrifying thing for the people involved. But even beyond that, there are devices. There are devices you can get on the dark web. And what they do is boost the signal of the key fobs. And because, you know, the key fob's supposedly only got a range of a few meters. So the car will start because you don't put a key in, you've just got a fob and there's a start button on the dash. And the start button won't work unless the fob is within a meter or two of the dash. But there are devices you can buy on the dark web that boost the strength of the fob to make that car live if the fob is within 10 or 20 meters of it. So you don't even have to break into the house. You just sneak up to the car, put your signal booster, and the car recognizes fob's there and unlocks and starts, and off you drive. So yeah, there are issues just with the degree to which computerized cars today can be mixed with. Good Spirit mentioned about limiting the speed of cars, but imagine if you owned an autonomous car or whatever. You can imagine if the government said, okay, I want these cars to be programmed to know the speed limit, and it's absolutely impossible for the vehicle to exceed the speed limit. You could imagine the number of people who go, but I don't want to go faster. And they'll go on the internet to find ways to hack the car's operating system and make the car go faster than the speed limit. And that's going to be a real challenge. People who aren't comfortable with not having control over the car. Oh, Safa, yes, the car companies have known for ages about fake fobs and things that boost, and they lie and say that's not real. Because if someone knows how easy it is to steal their $250,000, $500,000 car, they're going to be less likely to spend the money on it. So for years, the big makers like Mercedes, BMW, etc., they lied and said that doesn't happen, that can't work, that's not possible. And they knew it was happening, and they just lied and said it wasn't, that it wasn't possible. Catherine, you're talking to a dark spot in my understanding, because you say once the car goes out of the range of fob won't start. But my understanding is you only need the fob signal to start the car. and the engine won't cut out just because you go out of range of the fob. That is, of course, something the manufacturers could change, but and maybe they have since this problem became known. But Timothy, you reckon Linux in all the cars would solve it? But see, that's the thing. You would get manufacturers and governments who would not want the operating system to be open source. They would want it to be completely closed. They wouldn't want the owners of the vehicles to have what do you call it? Control over it. Justin, you raise a good point. Why would you need speed limits with self-driving cars? On an open highway, you probably wouldn't, but there'd have to be something that would allow for circumstances like you want to put a speed limit on a self-driving car in built-up residential areas. You don't want them to be able to go over, 50 kilometers an hour because of the likelihood of a pedestrian stepping. Yes. Mr. Godzo, you may be right. They may have twigged to that security flaw, and that fob range thing would be default now. If the car goes out of range of the fob, the engine splits off. But again, enterprising thieves, what they would do, they've spotted the expensive luxury car they want to steal. They drive a truck up the street, and then they go in, do the signal boost, start the luxury car, drive it into the back of the truck they've got out there. They don't care that the engine cuts out because they drive off in the truck. Thieves are very enterprising people. Safa, capitalists don't have secrets. Capitalists are very open about their bullshit. That's a good effort. Three attempts to type speed, Aggro Pixie. I like it. Safa, I think cars do get firmware updates. I think you're actually right. Oh my God. Okay, so Mr. Gonzo, your car's a 2011 and it already has the fob range thing. Okay. But you see, that's the thing. You don't have to be an Aston Martin to have these advanced things. Standard Japanese cars did it. I've still got old-fashioned keys for my car because I don't buy the more expensive ones that have the fob and the start button. I've still never had a car that had a start button. My current car is like a 3-year-old Astra. It was new when I got it, but it has a key, not a start button. Chronic, how you going, dude? Miss Foxification, you reckon you could make a device that tells the car the fob's missing even if you drive? Yeah, that's the other thing. Pranksters, or just bad actors, malicious people, can fuck with computerized cars, just for a laugh. They can kill the engine. You can get stuff that sends a signal to the car that will kill the engine. It will cut the signal from the fob, so it will tell the car the fob's not there. And it's like, yeah. So it's like there's a constant arms race or tension between car manufacturers, thieves, and the owners of cars. The car manufacturers do things that the owner doesn't always like, and the owner wants to control more things. And of course, thieves are always trying to get value out of cars, and the car manufacturers trying to stop it. I mean, because I worked for an insurance company years ago, and I read this review. Is very interesting, the changing face of insurance. And that's where I got that thing that when they made it harder to hotwire cars, seems like a good thing, but it led to a spike in carjackings, which is far more dangerous for the owner of the car. And of course, there used to be the thing where they would steal the car stereo because you could flog a car stereo. But for years now, basically every car has had a thing. If the power supply to the stereo gets like terminated, that's it. It's like it stops working. So you can't steal a car stereo because it's pointless because you break it when you steal it. And then there's I remember when those LED lights, the really funky LED lights became a thing on luxury cars. That was worth a lot of money. Like car thieves worked out if they ripped off the front bumper and got all the lights and wiring intact, that was worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Completely fucked the car and fucked the value of the car. They got thousands and thousands of dollars of value from ripping the front bumper off a luxury car. And people are just fucking weird. Oh, I see Toronto Maple Leaf, autonomous everything has problems. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's no way I'm putting smart things in my house, internet connected shit in my house. No fucking way. The one where Google didn't recognize you, said, okay, Google, one night. Lights kept going on while the fiance was home. Yeah. I mean, I've heard nothing about, the smart lights. Someone bought one from a lesser known maker, and that maker went out of business and then stopped sending out updates. And the app that controlled the lights stopped working. And so the lights were stuck on the last setting they'd been on before the app stopped working. And it was just all over us. And I mean, man, this is a surveillance device. It's like, hey Siri, are you reporting me to the CIA?
You were saying.
I was saying you are spying on me. Hey Siri, are you spying on me?
No.
I mean, hey Siri, I don't believe you.
If you don't, you don't.
Rude, rude. So I've got one surveillance device. I mean, there's no way I'm getting like a Google Home or a Amazon Echo, whatever the fuck they are, a thing that's listening to you all the time. Do not knock my drinks over, Mimsy. Oh yes, Mr. Gonzo Xenomobs. Yeah. Fuck quits, you put them on trucks. Yeah. People, yeah. 4-wheel drives and trucks and stuff where their lights are too high and they're right at your eye level, that is shit. Yes, music elevator. It's like, yeah, podcast. People talking about, say, hi Siri sets off someone's phone. There was a thing, a story that went on some American TV show. They're talking about how these things can do too much. And the person on the host said, like, for instance, if you said to King, hey Alexa, buy 100 loaves of bread, a whole bunch of people at the time had their Alexa go, buying 100 loaves of bread. It's like, oh, that's the end of my Pepsi. You're right, Mr. Gonzo. Siri's just clippy with ideas above her station. Kevin, yes, I know you're a kitty cat fan. Mimsy's been with us all night. Justin, I alerted your Alexa. Oh, how happy is Mimsy? She just loves being scratched and she loves attention. It's kind of like Mrs. Angry feeds Mimsy, so she doesn't bother me for food. She bothers Mrs. Angry for food. But now she's got into the thing of, okay, at least occasionally sitting in on the live streams, she bothers me for scratches and attention. She loves that. Attention whore, Mimsy, that's what you are. Oh, musical elevator. That's a good plan. Do a YouTube video where we go, hey, Alexa, subscribe to. I should do a list of them because people might be listening on an iPhone. So I could say, so I should do them all just randomly. And think, hey, Alexa, subscribe to the Angry Aussie YouTube channel. And then, hey, Siri, subscribe to the Angry Aussie YouTube channel. Yeah, okay, Google, subscribe to the Angry Aussie YouTube channel. Mr. Gonzo, what are you worried about conflating? Just all the artificial intelligences. I won't have, like I said, oh, okay, I'm lying. I've got Siri, and it's on Hey Siri mode, which I keep thinking I should switch off. In fact, I really should. Hey Siri, switch off Hey Siri.
I can't do that, Angry, but you can change it in settings.
Good, I can change it in settings. Because I never use it, so why the fuck have I got it on? Listen for Hey Siri. No. Go away, please. I said Hey Siri and it went to Hey Siri. Right. So, yes. Justin, no, Mrs. Angry stays well away from the YouTubes. Although she, if you know which ones to look for, she is a presence in some of my videos. Agro, I never activated Cortana. Mimsy could have her own channel, yes. Don't know what she'd do though. Oh, AgroPixie, sorry, were you telling me to say, hey, Cortana, subscribe to the Angry Aussie channel? Mr. Gonzo, how is AIDSy? Look, you keep asking me, I keep getting to... I'll text him. I don't know. Where is he? I'll just text him. Hey, matey, how's things? See if we get a response from him. That's what we were saying. That's right. Some Mimsy ASMR purring. If we get a good recording of her purring, then we could just loop it for 10 hours. 10 hours of Mimsy ASMR. Second half. This is okay. New tradition. Cocktail at the halfway mark. What will I make? I love this because this is like it's got all the classics, which I don't usually make. Things with champagne in them. It's like, you know, a gimlet. This hardly counts as a cocktail. It's just gin and lime cordial. That hardly counts as a cocktail, really. It's like when people say gin and tonic is a cocktail. You know, really? Gin and tonic is a cocktail? Mr. Gonzo, AT is very funny. He's been very unwell lately. This is a pretty good one, actually, a Claridge. I don't have apricot liqueur, but I could substitute maybe cherry liqueur. It's gin, vermouth, cherry liqueur, and Cointreau. I have the others apart from apricot liqueur. You're a thing for apricot liqueur. It's in a whole bunch of these things. Oh, this one, because I like my absinthe. This is gin, simple syrup. They say all yeah, but you know, any sort of sugar syrup, absinthe and bitters. I mean, that's called a Gabi de Lee. A bumblebee, yeah. The last word, gin, laundry, I don't have chartreuse. Could put absinthe instead of chartreuse. I love the names of them. Hanky Panky, which is gin, vermouth, and ferret bronca, which I don't actually know what that is. Like I say, I have a lot of ingredients, but I don't have all the ingredients. You have great names for cocktails, like Blood and Sand. That's Scotch, orange juice, vermouth, and cherry heering. I have all of that. I could make that a Blood and Sand. And hey, nobody, how's it going? Yes, Mr. Gonzo, he really sucks that he has so many chronic health problems. Safa, did I hear the US is negotiating with the Taliban? That would be interesting. What in particular are they negotiating would be the question. This one, a coin toss. Coin toss. It's a ram, vermouth, chartreuse benedict. No, I don't have all those. You know, find something that Lucien Gaudin, that's what I made on Tuesday. A syncopation is brandy, calvados, Cointreau. I've got all that. That sounds like a pretty good combination, doesn't it? The syncopation is brandy, calvados, Cointreau, lemon juice, and bitters. I mean, that sounds pretty. Oh, musical elevator is in the State of the Union. See, if it's just something that Trump brain farted out, that doesn't necessarily mean anything because his own military and intelligence agencies ignore him, basically. Mr. Gonzo, 5 a.m. and you've got to drive 200 miles in 8 hours. You, my friend, should get some rest. That would be my suggestion. Here's another one I could make. Rye whiskey, vermouth, cherry hearing, absinthe. That's called Remember the Main. I could do that. Toronto Maple, if you've been thinking of moving to Australia, you're sick of your winters. I see. Yes, our winters are much milder than your winters, quite honestly. Brandy Smash, want to smash? Blackjack, is there one? I want to see if I can find one that I haven't made or haven't made for a while anyway. Dr. Cocktail is rum, lime juice, Swedish punch. I don't have Swedish punch. I was going to say, yeah, I will keep my head up, buddy. Thank you for all your support. Update me post jail. Which one of us is going to jail? And a cocktail called the Attention. Gin, vermouth, creme de violette, which I have, absinthe, and bitters. I actually have all of that. I have to go get the creme de violette. It's in another room. Yeah, Charlie, you're right. Brisbane doesn't even have a winter. The bijou. That's gin chartreuse. Again, I don't really have chartreuse. Yeah, stop headbutting me, Mimsy. Honestly. Ooh, what do we got? Quinquina cocktail is brand. I love it. Some of these really weird ingredients. Bonel Gentian Quina. Probably explains what that is somewhere here, but that's okay. Where it must be here somewhere. Okay, it's a derivative of quinine, which is in tonic. It's an aperitif. All right, so it's a relation of vermouth. Okay, I get it. Clever Cup, gin, lemon juice, raspberry, egg white. I think I want to go to the trouble of doing an egg white thing. What's Brett saying? Winters are probably like Canadian summers. Except for Ballarat, which is probably why they have like suburban and Canadian. Oh wow, that's harsh. Floridita. That's white rum, which I have, lime juice, vermouth, grenadine, and creme de cacao. I have all that. I could make that. Oh my god, we're gonna do a Ritz cocktail. Cognac, Cointreau, lemon juice, maraschino, and champagne. I don't know if any champagne floating around. Colleen Vaughan. What's that? Rye whiskey, chartreuse, banana. That's things. A whole egg. Good lord. Don't think I want to put a whole egg in something. Absinthe cocktail. Periodista. Rum, lime, Cointreau, apricot. No, I don't have apricot. What do we got? Blinker, Creole. Safa, do I like Canadian Club? Not really. That's like Canadian whiskey, yeah? Like, what was that from Trump, musically animated? If there's going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. That's surreal. But then again, Trump, yeah. Oh my God, Toronto, that's probably worse than snow. If it's sub-zero and raining, so everything gets covered in a half-inch of ice, so it slides in. It's like that seems to happen in New York. I see those videos people put online where everything's got a coating of ice, and people trying to walk down inclines, and they've got no purchase, and they just slide down. Toronto Maple Leaf. What's 40 Creek? Is that a Canadian whiskey? Everyone makes. There's Australian whiskies these days. So many of these have champagne in it. You can't just make one cocktail with champagne because then it will go flat. You might like this Toronto Maple Leafer, is a Toronto cocktail, which is Canadian whiskey or rye whiskey, Fernet Branca, simple syrup, and bitters. And I always forget what Fernet Blanca is. Okay, I'm going to read this from my book here. See what you think of this Toronto Maple Leafer. This guy's take on Canadian whiskey. Oh, Canada, sigh, northern neighbour, your whiskey situation presents quite a quandary. Once upon a time, Canadian whiskey was largely a rye-focused spirit. That's long since stopped being the norm, though there are notable exceptions. Instead, an overwhelming majority of Canadian whiskey is a blend of spirits, with neutral spirits and other ingredients making up a good chunk of many familiar Canadian brands. That's not inherently bad, but the mildness of many brands have aimed to comes off in a way that many dedicated whiskey fans consider boring or worse. But for every swing of the pendulum, there's a return, and there are early signs that Canadian whiskey may be staging a comeback. Brands such as 40 Creek, there you go, began burnishing Canadians' reputation years ago, and imports such as Whistle Pig have proven there's tasty stuff to be found above the 49th parallel. More recently, decent whiskey such as those from Alberta distillers have begun flowing south of the border, and even some of the widely known brands are starting to realise there's a growing demand for better tasting booze. Still, most Canadian whiskey sold in the US seem to be mixed with nothing more exotic than a can of Sprite. The good stuff is increasingly available, but while you're on the lookout for mild styles of spirit, still deliver some flavourable complexity, be sure to check out Irish whiskey. But there you go. This guy actually singles out 40 Creek. So he agrees with you. What are you doing, weird cat? There's daiquiris. I'm not really into daiquiris or old fashions or Manhattan. I like they've got a dozen variations on a Manhattan here, and including a Brooklyn, which is, I guess, cooler than Manhattan. So a traditional Manhattan is whiskey, vermouth, and bitters, and a Brooklyn is whiskey, vermouth, cherry liqueur, and Amer Picon or substitute. I'm not even sure what Amer Picon is. They got like a dozen versions of a Manhattan, dozen versions of Martini, dozen versions of Negroni. All in here. Ew, coffee liqueur. Gross. Hate coffee as a flavor. What's this? A jasmine. Gin, lemon juice, Campari, and Cointreau. I have all that. I could make that. Suffer would angry last during the US drinking prohibition. Well, for many, 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 many years, I didn't drink alcohol at all, so I think I'd probably survive prohibition. Yeah, Brett, I wouldn't last in Saudi Arabia either. Toronto Maple Leaf, that's a good idea. I'd open a speakeasy. I'd definitely open a speakeasy. Mimsy's just bothering me. Every time I ignore her, she like headbutts me. No, don't ignore me. Pay attention to me. It's a simple Cosmo, vodka, Cointreau, lime juice, and cranberry. What was this one that I found before? A syncopation. Brandy, Calvados, Cointreau, lemon juice, bitters. I think I might make myself that. Because I've got those ingredients. Mimsy, you sit there and behave. We'll pull together some ingredients. I'll get my cocktail shaker. That was basically water. All right, standing up. My knees. My knees are so stuffed. All right, so this little shot thing to measure. Oh, okay, so I've got to get, there's my Calvados. Oh shit, don't knock things over. Cointreau and brandy. Ugh. Ingredients. It's a cool bottle, isn't it? It's a French apple brandy called Calvados. Charlie, there's certainly a lot of cocktails that date from the Prohibition era, but cocktails existed in the 19th century, and they've morphed all through the 20th century into the 21st. So what else do I need? I have my booze for syncopation, lemon juice and bitters. Okay, and I'll get some ice in my cocktail shaker. Bom, bom, bom. Some ice. Some lemon juice. Okay, that's lemon juice. This is my bitters. Okay. Oh, let's see. Tendo, got a bug out. Thanks for dropping by, birdie. Oh, yeah, Brett, your knees. I'm going to a physio at the moment because of how my knees are playing up, and it's helping. It's helping a lot actually, because there's a period where I was worried I wouldn't be able to walk, and I got better. All right, so some brandy. A shot of brandy. Shazam. Good Spirit, you like vodka? Yes, I make a lot of vodka-based drinking. I've got some flavored vodkas I made as well. So a bit of Calvados. Half a shot of Calvados. Shazam, y'all. Half a shot of Yon Cointreau. Justin, you reckon knee problems running in your family? Yeah, I did see, because my knees have been giving me so much jip. Saw a Facebook post that made me laugh. Someone said, you know, that's how top level athletes have knee problems, and if someone overdoes it in the gym, they can blow their knee out. And if you never do any exercise, your knees will give out on you. So maybe knees are just fucked, basically. Maybe knees are the problem. We're doing half an ounce of lemon juice. So half a shot of lemon juice. Here you go, Mimsy, you're back. Yes, hello. Yes, rub your head against me. Why not? Half a shot of lemon juice. That in there. And a couple of dashes of bitters. South of Melbourne has areas where you can't drink on the street, but lots of cities have those. Wow, Good Spirit. Jalapeno vodka and tomato vodka. That's an interesting idea. Oh, wow. Toronto Maple Leaf. You go to a speakeasy type bar that has electro swing. That sounds pretty good. I don't even have a glass to put this in. I gotta get my cocktail glass. Just a sec. Oh, this is my cocktail glass. There it is. Oh, shit. Almost knocked something over. Okay. I wonder if you can see it before I put it in. This is, yeah, I'm not sure how good the resolution is, but there's a really nice etching on this glass. It's a very attractive glass. Anyway, check the cocktail. Oh, I don't know. My filter. Oh, that's right, Miss Foxification. We were talking about making a Mimsy cocktail, something named after her. I have to think on that. I have to think on what would be a Mimsy cocktail. Brett, you raise a good point. Most places have restrictions on drinking in the street because it's usually a sign of bad behaviour. So, cocktail, my little filter happening, filter the ice out. Ooh, it's pretty. Ooh, there you go. Slightly more than my glass holds, so I get to top up in a bit. I think you're right. Look, see, it's an orange cocktail. Well, that's interesting. So what we have in that, we had the Calvados and Calvados, brandy, Cointreau, lemon juice, and the bitters. We're going orange and cream. I did have some white chocolate liqueur that I actually finished it. Oh, right. The place you're talking about, Toronto Maple, that do things like infused drinks with smoke right in front of you. I was at a bar a while ago, probably about 2 years ago now. And they did a thing because they were, they fancied themselves as being a cigar bar as well. And I have no time for that. But they made an old fashioned where they infused it with smoke from a cigar box. They'd break up the wood from a cigar box, which has, of course, absorbed a bit of the flavor of cigars. They'd break it up, light it on fire, and put the glass on top of it so all the smoke goes into the glass. And then they take the glass off, and then they make an old fashioned, which is a simple whiskey cocktail. And it's very smoky. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, sometimes people put on a real show when they make cocktails. I've got a few places that are my favorites. Yeah, if anyone's ever in Melbourne, there's a very little place, and by little I mean it can hold at most about a dozen people, and it's got a real speakeasy vibe called Bar Americano. Is really good. They vary the drinks they make, the cocktails they make. Go away, Windows, stupid Windows notification. But no, so I didn't cough after the smoky cocktail. Very interesting taste. It's kind of like, it's very interesting when you do infuse smoke into beverages. It's weird. It's like the mezcal that I have over there, which is tequila's smokier cousin. When you smell it, it's seriously like it's. The best way to describe it to me is it smells like an ashtray. Then when you put it in a drink, the smokiness really comes through. But if you get the balance right, it's not smoky in a bad way. Like you get various smoked meats and smoked cheeses and smoked various things. It's very interesting to have a drink that tastes like smoke. It's like even some scotches have a really smoky flavour. Like one of my favourite cocktails is a whiskey sour, and you can make that with Scotch whiskey or bourbon or rye. It's actually more common to make a whiskey sour with bourbon or rye whiskey, but you can make it with Scotch whiskey or Irish whiskey or Canadian whiskey for that matter. But a big difference between making it with bourbon or rye and Scotch is a whiskey sour made with Scotch has a much more smoky character. Look, you think I need a Clippy to help me? I see you're streaming. Would you like some help? Good Spirit, you're really down with a jalapeno vodka and tomato vodka for a Bloody Mary. Not that into spices, although people who've seen a lot of my live streams will know I have done a thing where I dissolve some different rock candies into spirits to make flavor, and that includes a chili rock candy that actually has chili oil in it. And for fun, I put it in like a white rum, which turned it red. So it's red rum, like Cupid's shining red rum, the murder drink. And in fact, the place where I get it has, they just on their Facebook group, they've come up with at least one new flavor. I'm probably going to have to check that out on the weekend. The Candy Artisans, the Red Balloon places in Pran, just off Chapel Street. They have a very Aussie flavour. The interesting thing is when they make this, they make rock candy and jellies, and they're vegan. Their stuff's completely vegan. It's not that unusual for rock candy, but because traditionally jelly was an animal product, gelatin's an animal product, but there are vegan alternatives to animal gelatin, and this lot use that to make their jellies. But they had a new thing, which they said some Australian flavors, including a vegan chicken stock, so a vegan flavoring that's meant to taste like chicken. I'm gonna have to try it, so I'll probably get some of that on the weekend, and I'll definitely make a video because I saw they put the pictures of the rock candy on Facebook, and there's a little chicken in the middle. Like I don't know if you've seen how people can do really wild stuff with rock candy. They can have really quite intricate designs in the rock candy. That's what the Red Balloon people do, and this one has a chicken in it. So I'm definitely going to have to try that. I'm sure it's saying like, yes, Charlie. See, things like fresh basil leaf, herbs, any variety of herbs or mint or whatever is good. Miss Foxification, you can use jelly bellies to flavour things, and I do. What jelly bellies do is leave a lot of residue. So I find there's a lot of lollies, if you use them, you need to filter the drink, or it's going to be really cloudy and have sediment. I just use coffee filters. I pour it through a coffee filter, and that gets rid of most of the sediment. But yes. Was that Safa? Have I been to the Calcalo Hotel? I have not. Where is the Calcalo Hotel? I'm not familiar with that one. Oh yeah, Toronto Maple Leaf, what they can do with hard candy is great. Because what they do, the base thing they make a design, and it's about this much. It's about this big, and so the design is quite big on it. But it's the same principle as drawing wire on a lump of metal. They heat it up, and they draw it out, and they draw out really thin thing. And this big design gets replicated in the tiny little hard candy thing that's brought out. It's wild. Toronto Maple Leaf, you bought a 12-pound bag of Jelly Bellies from Costco. I wouldn't be sorry about it either. Charlie, I have made Skittle vodka. Skittle vodka, you get bright colors, but it mainly just tastes like sugar. what I found, the fine people at the Red Balloon, the candy artisans, they call themselves, when they flavour something, it really has that flavour. I mean, over here I've actually got a Jelly Belly flavoured vodka over here, popcorn flavoured thing. But yeah, I've got a few flavoured spirits over there. But yes, seeing they've come up with at least one new one, an Australian natural flavour themed rock candy, I'm going to have to try that. But yeah. Safa, that's just past Craigie Bend. Now, I have to admit, I am not going to drive a long way to go to a bar. If I'm going out, it's going to be somewhere in my surrounding neighbourhood or in the city. But going out to the suburbs is just a bit of a hassle. Misfoxification, I've heard that too, that if you filter a cheap and nasty vodka through like a Brita water filter, it gets a much smoother taste. I don't know if it takes any alcohol out, but I've heard that before, that just running sort of nasty vodka that's got an edge on it through a Brita water filter will make it much smoother, which is an interesting concept. I'm with you, Toronto Maple Liver. The fact they make the design originally for the rock candy is, like, I'm not joking, it's like this big, and then they draw it out till it's like this big, and the big design is perfectly replicated in the rock candy that's only this big in diameter. It's absolutely wild. And like, one of the things the Red Balloon people specialize in is personalized rock candy, like particularly for weddings and whatnot. They put the names of the happy couple in there, and it's because they make it in this big lump of sugar candy that's this big, and then they draw it out, and it's like, oh, it's little. It's wild. I'm continually impressed by it. Justin, you fly to Melbourne for your high school reunion. Oh man, yeah. Sorry, son. You made me laugh at that one. The rule with vodka is you have to sniff bread and eat a gherkin. I've not heard that. That is very, very new to me. Toronto Maple Leafs, Corey coming over to Australia on a trip. I don't know. Where did he say that? Where did you see him say that? I did not see him say that. That doesn't mean he didn't say it. But that is not something I'm aware of. I'd be super excited if Corey was coming out again, because he hasn't been here for ages, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. But yes, I am not aware of Corey saying he was coming out to Australia, but I don't see everything he says, so it could have got by me. Luke, when you meet up in Melton, go to the Golden Fleece. Yeah, I go to, there's a few, I'm sort of lucky, there's a few local places good. Oh my God, for people who like vodka, there's this place it's just next to Elstonwick Station. There's a cinema there that I go to quite often. There's a Polish restaurant just next to the cinema. It's called After the Tears. The same people own one on Chapel Street that's called Borscht Vodka and Tears, I think. But I don't go to that one. The one I go to is After the Tears. And they have Polish food, which is quite good, but they do good cocktails. But they have, I think, without exaggeration, 100+ different vodkas, and you can get vodka tasting paddles. And I'm not that into vodka, but I normally have their cocktails because they make quite good cocktails. But for serious vodka drinkers, this would be your place, because they have over 100 different vodkas. I remember meeting someone who is like a long-term sort of YouTube friend, acquaintance. He's from New York, and he's like a financial advisor, and he was out in Australia for some conference, and he was in Melbourne, he said, "Hey, do you want to catch up?" And so I definitely went and caught up with him. And the hotel he was staying at, which is one of the upmarket ones in the city, we met at the bar there, and they had over 100 different whiskies behind the bar, getting completely wasted on me because I'm not a whiskey aficionado. But for people who are into such things, like seriously over 100 different whiskies. And then other spirits, if you count the other spirits, the gins, the vodkas, the brandies, there was more than 100 other spirits as well. They had a huge selection. It's absolutely wild. And there's a place in Melbourne called the Gin Palace, which you might guess from the name, specializes in gin. They have dozens and dozens and dozens of different sorts of gin. It's like, wow. Brett, you think I should go on the 86 tram morning after big night drinking and getting a habit? I don't get hangovers because I don't drink that much. I like having a couple of drinks. I don't make a habit of getting shit faced, which is not to say it doesn't happen ever. It's just not often. And I don't really get hangovers, but I have in my entire life, I've probably thrown up less than half a dozen times from drinking. Some have been more embarrassing than others. One was on a train. That was embarrassing. That was like from after work drink. So I was still wearing like business clothes and just leaning forward and hurling. Oh, I was that guy on an evening train. I was that guy on an evening train, just like vomiting. So anyone on the train after me is stuck with the smell of vomit. It's like, ooh, sorry. Once, I hasten to add, I've done that once. So for where I'm going to see Endgame, I'm definitely going to see Avengers Endgame. I reckon I will probably go to like Gold Class, the Village Cinemas Gold Class. I do that for big blockbuster movies. And I like to go to the one at the Jam Factory on Chapel Street because they have a pretty good bar next to it that makes pretty good cocktails. So I can go in before the movie and have a couple of cocktails and then go in and watch the movie. And I like ordering food for Gold Class because they actually do really quite good food. And you sit there and you order, you know, a couple of courses of food. You're sitting there watching the movie and people bring food in to you and they, num, 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 num. I'm going to have some food. Num, 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 num. Oh, Safa, in IMAX is another possibility. I did not see Infinity War in IMAX. I've gone to see the last two Star Wars films in IMAX. And what I actually did was on opening day, I went and saw it. But I went to see a screening early in the morning before I went to work. So it was a screening that finished just in time for me to go to work on time. So I will probably do that again for the next Star Wars movie at the end of this year. Luke, going to Gold, you think going to Gold Class on you is embarrassing? Dude, don't get embarrassed, man. But I also don't go alone. That's like a date night with Mrs. Angry. I go to Gold Class. No, Brett, we don't want Uber Eats. I have a problem with Uber Eats and underpaying their driver. No, Gold Class does super good food. Jesus, that sucks, Toronto Maple Leafer. You got a city of 32,000 people and no cinema. That really sucks. Half an hour drive. Oh no, that's awful, dude. So I agree. IMAX is probably too expensive. I almost never do it. I did it for the Star Wars movies, and it's a kind of funny, weird experience to watch a Star Wars movie on IMAX and then go to work straight after because you're off on this fucking wow world and then you're going to work. That's pretty weird. No, but you're right. Life is expensive, I reckon. But you know, I work, and so I treat myself. Oh, the 4D one. Look, I have actually gone into that. I forget who I was with, but I was just wandering down the street where there's this 4D cinema, and was like trying to go, hey, you want to come in here? And we're like, what's this? And he explained it. And we went, yeah, fuck it, let's go in. And what they mean by 4D is there are effects that feel physical, and they're usually wind and whatnot that makes you feel like things are moving past you. That's in the film. It's kind of fun as a diversion, but yes. Nobody, I can empathize. Being poor is boring. Having gone through many phases of being poor in my life, it's yes, Carly. They have a SeaWorld. I went to one in Disneyland. That was right. I think they have a 4D cinema in Disneyland, one in Universal Studios. This is Christ. When did I do that? Like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Went to LA. Nobody, I get with not being completely enthused with life at the moment. I would just say I'm super glad that you dropped by. I enjoy it. You coming by the live chats. I like seeing everyone. It's kind of like it's always good. I like seeing the people who come to the live chats regularly. I like it when I see new people. I like it when I see really old school, like Toronto Maple Leaf is a really old school viewer of the vids. And, you know, I've got a couple of really old school viewers who are in his time. No, there's people who've been here for years, but people like Toronto Maple Leaf, Mr. Gonzo, have seriously been watching my videos for probably over 10 years. So I love the mix. I love the people who come into the live stream. Mega Leech is another one. We made a collab. God, how long ago was that collab? Was it 10 years ago? Mega Leech is old school. Okay, thank you. Those are words thing, yeah. I know, and in fact, KK's Last Smile, we've interacted for a long time. You can find my old school videos. KK has actually done a couple of songs for me that I featured on videos in the past. But the other thing, look, the other thing is it's okay to be honest. Like what a lot of people have a problem with things like Are You Okay Day? People who aren't okay. Sorry, the tickle just went in my nose. Are You Okay Day is a fine idea, but a lot of people don't like it. First, because people aren't okay. And a lot of the times they feel like the people who say, Are you okay? Don't cope very well if the answer is, No, I'm not okay. And they also don't like the tokenism. But for me, it's completely legit to say, I'm not feeling great. As you say, nobody, it's a pretty mild thing. You say, yeah, honestly, I'm not, life's not a bowl of roses all the time. And that's completely legit. Okay, now I'm going to embarrass KK's Last Smile. Did 3 songs, and I liked all of them. Yeah, you could really dig through my old videos and find them because I did use them in videos. So yeah. Oh, what's this, Toronto Maple Leaf? You have an idea for theatres. Map out the walls and ceilings, since most modern cinema uses the same cookie cutter design, walls mapped out. Have special effects come out of the screen with the aid of special glasses, rocket gets fired, literally come out of the screen, blow up the wall. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that. Justin, what if you don't know you're okay? Dude, that's fine. Not being sure is another thing that's fine. And here's the thing. For various reasons, over my life, I've gone to counselors, I've gone to therapists, I've gone to couples therapy, I've gone just for myself. When you're not sure, often, particularly if you're in Australia, the first step can be you talk to a GP and say, maybe I should have a mental health plan. I don't feel awful, but I'm not sure I'm okay. What can we do about that? And if you find a good GP, they can help you with the first steps to a mental health plan. And this thing, if you're not sure you're okay, that's completely legit. It's it's a thing where you can explore it, and it can be difficult. You don't want to feel like you're a burden to your friends, like you say, and that's the thing with Miss Fox. Occasionally, say, "Are you okay?" People don't expect a real answer, but you can work on it. What's that TFL? You get called portrait if they're a guy, and they're like, "Wait a second, I think I missed something there." In what context do you mean people getting called a portrait if they're a guy? Is that for having feelings? TFL, I wasn't going to the therapist for anger issues. I'm fine with my anger issues. There were other reasons. Yes, okay, you hit on a thing. Money can be an issue. But this is, at least in Australia, this is another reason. Go to a GP and get a mental health plan, and then it will be, you can get subsidies for government. Now, I have a job, a day job, pays reasonably well. And so if I want to or need to go to a therapist or a counselor, I can. And I can afford, so it's like the moment with my shoulder being fucked and my knees being fucked, I can afford to pay a physio to work on me. No, TFL, that's cool. I got that. That was a joke. That was taken in good fun. That's good. Yeah, Luke, no, absolutely. You're saying you got a mental health plan for anxiety. Look, people in my family had issues. My older sister had severe anxiety attacks, and it was a while before she got proper treatment. And my brother, one time, my older brother, he's a couple of years older than me, he just said to me one day, we were talking, and he goes, I have this thing, and sometimes I wake up, I just call it the fear, and it's like there's something sitting on my chest, and there's no reason for it, nothing's gone wrong, but it's like today's going to be a bad day because the fear has got me. There's a weight on my chest, it's got me, and it's carrying. And he was describing all those things and being short of breath and feeling like he's having a heart attack. And I was going, dude, that's an anxiety attack. That's a thing. You go to a doctor and talk to it, and there are ways it can be helped. And he was like so relieved, because we grew up in the country and you don't talk about your feelings and you don't open up about weakness. And it was a big deal that he told me this. And when I told him, dude, that's anxiety, that's a diagnosable thing. There's nothing wrong with you. That is an illness that can be treated. You need to start by talking to a GP. And the relief he had on that, like, fuck, I just thought I was loony. And I go, no, dude, there's a mental health thing, but it's treatable. It's a thing you can work with. And I'll tell a little story out of school, because you don't know my brother, and this won't come back on me. We grew up in the country, right? In Dubbo, Western New South Wales. And my brother had a number of Aboriginal friends. I knew a bunch of Aboriginal guys. I'd be flattering myself if I called them friends. They were acquaintances. They were people I got on with. They weren't enemies. But my brother had close friendships with a couple of Aboriginal guys. Oh, gee. Hey, buddy. How you going? So anyway, he had some close Aboriginal friends, and he got into the Aboriginal idea of spirituality, the Aboriginal dreaming legends. He was told a few things, and there was a reasonably significant sacred site for the Aboriginal people just outside of Dubbo. There were various rock carvings and whatnot there, and he used to go out there sort of for a meditative thing. and he felt, because of his Aboriginal friend had told him about the significance of this spot and how you could talk to the various spirits, and that really meant something to him, and it really did. And he told me that one time he went out there because he had a fight with his girlfriend. I think he needed to meditate. He went out there and he did his normal thing. When he got in his car to come home, this was about 20 miles out of town, right? So it's a little drive, not a long drive, but a little drive back to town. And he realized not long after he got on the highway, something bad had got in the car with him. Now, because he'd been at the sacred site and there are spirits there, and it's not just good spirits, it's also bad spirits. And he said something bad had got in the car with him. It was in the back seat. He felt it like a presence in the back seat. And as he was driving, because there's trucks and shit coming, the thing in the back seat was telling him, just steer into a truck. Just do it. Just do that. Just steer into a truck. End it. No more problems. Do it. And it's telling him, do it, do it, do it. And the whole drive back, he's like got this death grip on the steering wheel because the thing in the back seat is telling him to just crash into a truck. And he didn't. And he related this to me and he said, am I crazy? And I said, look, okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. There's a spectrum in here. At one end of the spectrum is this stuff that you've talked about with your friends that you've taken on about the spirits and the dreaming. At one end of the spectrum, that's literally true. You were literally at a powerful site and something bad got in the car with you. At the other end of the spectrum is you're crazy. You had suicidal ideation because of you were right on the edge of a psychotic break. So there's that whole spectrum between the spirit stuff is real and you are in danger of having a psychotic break. And there's a whole spectrum in the middle. And I said, but the thing to hold on to is that was real to you. And that's real whether the spirit is real or whether it was a mental health issue and you were this close to having a psychotic break. It was real to you. And there was a voice, a very real voice in your head telling you to kill yourself. And you know what? You didn't. That's a win. You won that. And when, up until we had this conversation, he'd been, oh, I was hearing voices, I'm crazy, I'm a loser, there's something wrong with me. And I went, no. Something happened to you and you had an incredibly strong force, whether it's your own mind or a dark spirit in your, it's real because it's there and happening and it's telling you to kill yourself and you didn't do it. You won. That was an incredibly harsh, real, stressful experience and you won. You didn't kill yourself. And you know, like, my personal empirical view is it was on the mental health end of the spectrum. But in a very real sense, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the spirit was real. It doesn't matter if this was a mental health issue and he was close to having a psychotic break. What matters is this very real, meaningful force was acting on him and putting suicidal thoughts into his head. And he went, yeah, no, not going to do that. That's the thing to focus on, not worry about, was this an evil spirit or am I crazy? Don't worry about that. Focus on you won. No matter what happened, you won. And that made the whole thing easier for him to deal with. I'm just going through some of the comments. Oh, God, I remember nobody you talking about dates, but your date is an hour and a half away. Yeah, that's going to suck, dude. Definitely. Oh, I like that aggro pixie, your cat spirit hanging around the house, which is nice. That's good. I tell you another one. I have an ex who grew up in the Philippines, moved to Australia, I think pre-teen years, I met her, she was in her 20s, so she's like very Aussie. But because her whole family was from the Philippines, and Filipinos are very into spirits, ghosts, reincarnation, all that thing. They had a thing with it was like when her great grandfather died. Um, he was in the Philippines, and she was with her parents here in Australia, and some uncles and aunts and cousins, and they heard the great grandfather had died, like it was a dad's grandfather, and they were all sad and whatnot, and they were together as Filipinos tend to be in things like this, and they all told this story about how this stray dog came into the backyard where they all were, and it went person to person and just looked at them, and they patted it, and every single one of them said, because of the way it looked at them and the way it go, that was great grandfather. That was how he looked at me. That was how he came up to me. And again, to me, it doesn't so much matter if that is literally true or if that is an emotional feeling you're having and you're reading stuff into a thing that's happening and it's reflecting your emotions. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't really matter which of those it is because it's real to you. I just find that really interesting. And hello, Patman Sport. Hello, hello. What are you? You've come in the last 15 minutes. Good to see you, buddy. Wow. Geez, I tell you what, everyone makes jokes at work because they're a freezer. It's kind of like when, as a contractor, I change workplaces every 6, 12 months usually. Sometimes I stay longer. I've been at some places up to 2 years or even longer. But usually it's like 6 months, maybe 12 months, and a change. And it's always, I want to know what the kitchen facilities are. Do they have a sandwich press? I had one place that actually had a whole stove, an oven, and a stovetop. That was fucking awesome. I could make really good lunches there. Um, I get really miffed if they don't have a freezer because I really like ice. Mimsy, going to say hello to everyone? I really like ice. But most people in workplaces don't bother to make ice, even if they have freezers at work. So when I bring ice cubes trays in and make ice and have them drink my ice, everyone always makes jokes about I'm having alcoholic beverages just because I have ice. And I don't make jokes about it, but, you know, enjoying a quality cocktail like this, I have to admit, more often than not at work, I said, man, I'd really like to be just making a cocktail right now. It's probably just as well it's against the rules, or I'd be half cut at work all day. She's like, yeah, no, this would all be more tolerable if I had a cocktail. Patman, pretty quiet night, actually. Everyone's been super good. An incredibly good array of people. As I was saying earlier, a lot of the regulars, quite a few old school angry viewers, and a couple of new people, newish people. So we've been having a quality live stream. Oh yeah, no, Toronto people knowing a day is going to be bad, but for him, it's not so much any premonition. It's anxiety. It's when he knew today was, and it's my brother. It's going to be a bad anxiety day. He just, before we talked about it, before I explained, no, this is a thing. This is a medical thing. You talk to a GP. We talk about anxiety. He just called it the fear, and it had a very physical um, context to him. Because he's really like tight in the chest. Ha! Nice. Sorry, just as a slightly lighter thing. Chronic, you made some proper Irish coffees for a guest with some Tullamore Dew. Nice. Justin, yeah, the last permanent job I had was about, God, it was about 13 years ago. Over 10 years ago. Last permanent job I had was over 10 years ago, maybe like 13 years ago. Patman, don't know what Azy's doing, actually, because everyone always asks, so I texted him a bit earlier. Didn't get a reply. I don't know. Hey, look, for everyone who's talking about various mental health issues, challenges, if you're going to see a GP or a counsellor, I recommend really strongly if you can find a practitioner that does EMDR or EFT. EMDR is recognised by the World Health Organization as an effective treatment for extreme post-traumatic stress disorder. And it can be for much milder things as well. The other thing is called EFT or tapping. Mrs. Angry is a counsellor who specialises in this. She's a psychologist, qualified psychologist. She works in the public health system, and she does EMDR and EFT, and it's fucking amazing, quite honestly. So my recommendation is, if you're feeling you need to work with someone on your mental health, your mental well-being, if you can find a practitioner that does EMDR and or EFT or tapping, it's really worth it. It's freaky how effective these techniques are. Sorry, I want to come back. Good Spirit, I saw you talking about building a tiny home. Oh my God, I love that. You'd pick me up from an airport in the States. Dude, if I'm coming back to the States, I'll let you know. But if you're doing your tiny home, I would love to see pictures. I'm AngryAussie on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. If you want to share pictures of your tiny home, I would love to see it. I love that people reinventing their lives with stuff for that at the moment. Definitely have to see it. Yeah, Keiko, it is definitely seen as an alternative. But oh yeah, Luke, you remember it wasn't a tune of fear. I just didn't like tune. This is EMDR is for serious stuff. That's for like post-traumatic stress disorder and significant issues you have in your life. EFT, which is called also known as tapping. EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. But first, it can help with anxiety and other issues like that. But weirdly, it can help with your diet. Like I reckon my diet's still shit. It used to be worse though. Like I'd never eat vegetables. I grew up with a really bad diet, and got slightly better as an adult, but not much better. And the EFT, this tapping, it can work two ways. First, if there's a food that you crave, like say chocolate, that's an obvious one, that you cannot resist, you can do tapping, EFT, do a whole process, and it becomes so much easier to resist this thing. Whether it's chocolate or McDonald's or chips but it also weirdly it works completely the opposite as well. If there's a food that's good for you that you don't like, you can do EFT. And there are videos on my YouTube channel. Seriously, look up on the Angry Aussie channel, look up EFT. There are videos where I record myself doing it. And you have to trust me, because it seems stupid. Like I start off like raw onion. I don't want to eat raw onion. That's gross. Like 0 out of 10, do I want to eat raw onion? I do the tapping and then I taste some raw onion. Okay, it's not 0 out of 10, maybe it's 2 or 3. And it gets to the stage where I think onion is actively yummy. We did this for onion, capsicum, carrot, tuna, stuff that I just actively hated. And you do this tapping and you realize that the stuff actually tastes good. But this is what does my head in. I mean, I joke with Mrs. Angry that she's doing her brain magic on me, because EFT can both help you resist something that you find irresistible, like say with that chocolate, chips, McDonald's, whatever. But it can also make you like something that's good for you that you don't like eating. It's weird, absolutely weird. I agree, Pixie. Yes, I've seen you recommending weighted blankets. And I've heard a lot of people saying weighted blankets are really good. If you have problems with insomnia, and particularly if this insomnia is linked with anxiety, the physical weight of the blankets, and I don't know what they put in them to weight them down, but there's something that makes it really reassuring. And it's weird how they make. Justin, you thought of Tonio. I don't take bites of hollow, sort of slice it up and have it. But yeah, I mean, thanks to Mrs. Angry and these uh, treatments, my eating habits are so much better. And also, I'm working on the weight loss thing. I'm doing light and easy. Lost about 5 kilos in the first month. So in another month, you might actually be able to notice. I mean, I'm noticing like things are easier to button up, clothes are easier to button up, because I was getting to super fat bastard stage, like about 40 kilograms overweight, like absurdly overweight, particularly for my age. It's not good. And the first month of going back on light and easy, I lost about 5 kilos. I don't know, by the end of this month even, you might even be able to notice it. I'm not joking, because I'm already noticing things. Yeah, Safi, you're not really going to get a skinny angry. I'm never going to be skinny, but I will move away from the morbidly obese. So, oh, good spirit, you're working on your weight. Was that 190 pounds? I never know the difference. It's weird in weight. I always think kilograms. Oh shit. Sorry. No, I was joking about dressing up as Hitler at school, and I have a couple of Facebook friends from school, and one of them, someone who I was pretty good friends with at school, named Liz. She messaged me on Facebook saying there might be some uh, uh, Facebook posts. She was basically suggesting she might have had pictures of me dressed as Hitler, which would have been disturbing. Yeah, look at my weight converter. Okay. Where did it wait? Okay, so if you are going for 190 pounds, 80, okay, for reals, dude. Good spirit. That's about what I should be. I should be about that. Under sorry, was it in kilos? Yeah, under 90 kilos. That will be a significant challenge. You see, dude, okay, you're 5'11", I'm only like 5'9". So I should be less. And I'm 52. Oh, you're at 320 and you're working at 190. Well, dude, you and me can encourage each other, because what am I, like, my worst? Pounds, 260. Okay. At my worst, I was about 260 pounds. And I've dropped a bit now. So I'm down to about 250 now. So, oh God, if social media existed when I was in high school, I'd be, Brett, I am so a short ass, man. Aggro Pixie, yes, you may be 4'9", but you, what's the saying? Wee but swole. Aggro Pixie is, and that's from your days working in the bakery with the mussels and whatnot. I love it. We're all fat bastards working on it. Fat man, 5'3" and 100 kg. See, we're all working on. Safa's 5'11". There you are, swapping. I was actually helping young Mr. Angry, who's now 18. Jesus Christ, my kids are like 18 and 20. I'm so old. My kids are adults now. I still refer to them as my kids, but they're adults. They're 18 and 21. Young Mr. Angry is a couple inches taller than me. He's probably 5'11". Yeah, we were buying some trousers for him because he's going for a job interview. And again, he's like really slender. He looks really good in nice clothes. So that kind of made me just like, yeah, I've got to lose another 30. I've got to lose between 30 and 40 more kilos. And this thing. And see, Toronto Maple Leaf, because you're old school, like in old videos from like 12 years ago, my kids are in the videos and they're kids, they're pre-teens. But that was 12 years ago. My kids were only in videos when they were really little, like pre-teens, maybe even under 10. But yeah, it was like 12 years ago. And time flies. It's fucking wild. But I even love YouTubers, like, I've been on YouTube so long, some of the early stars of YouTube who were teenagers, now they're late 20s or even into their early 30s because time passes us all by. It's gonna reply. Oh yeah, and the mask. I keep thinking I might bring the masks back, Luke, but I don't know. I need to put some thought into it. Anyway, look, it's 10 o'clock. As per usual, time has flown with you fine people, and it's been a super good time spending a couple of hours with you. Always enjoyable. Yeah, YouTube, like Chris Crocker. He must be 30 by now. So, look, a bid all you fine people farewell and good night. Thank you for your company. It's always great to spend some time with you. And yes, we had the thing earlier, you miss the TFU Friday. I'll do my very best to get a TFU Friday video up tomorrow. I almost did one yesterday on, Liam Neeson's wild racist shit. Like everyone needs to hear my hot take on Liam Neeson. I might do that. Where is that good spirit? Fast food places. We don't have as much as the US, but we do have fast food here. Keiko, I like that you feel tonight's chat was nice and supportive because I genuinely enjoy the company of the people who come into the live chats. And that includes new people. When new people come in who aren't dickheads, it's really good. But yeah, great mix. New people, regulars in the live chat, and the real old school viewers. Toronto Maple Leaf, yes. If your insomnia keeps up, I'll see you again in the next week or so. But look, one and all, look after yourselves. Yeah, even if things don't seem great on a given day, we all have those days. And if you hang in, we get closer to another good day. And that's about as much as we can hope for. So look after yourselves. Hope you have a good time. And I'll be posting some videos and doing some more live streams sometime in the next week. So I hope you tune in for those as well. And I will say bye for now.